Hello beautiful travelers, welcome back to the Space Age. If this is your first time on my channel, welcome to Space Age Tarot. This is a place where I give pick a card readings, so if you enjoy this reading and you want to subscribe and join the Space Fleet, feel free to do so. And if you are subscribed, remember to hit the notification bell if you so desire. And in today's pick a card reading, we're going to be getting a message from your shadow self, your shadow side, your dark side, whatever you want to call it. This is the part of you that wants to be integrated into you. It wants to be working in harmony with all the aspects of yourself. But the whole point of this reading is that you become comfortable with the aspects of yourself that you think maybe are wrong or bad or something, and form a new relationship with it so that you're actually integrating this aspect of yourself and able to uplift your energy and be the highest version of yourself. Okay, so I hope you guys will enjoy this reading. We have we have 4 piles today. We have pile 1, pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. So take as much time as you need selecting one or more piles, and yeah, I will see you in your reading. Hi group 1, so this is your message from your shadow side. I'm like really excited to actually tell you guys this message because we have the 6 of Wands here. We have the 6 of Wands here. And on the other end, we have the Chariot in reverse. And if you guys know anything about tarot, I'm just going to tell you the 6 of Wands and the Chariot card both represent victory. And these are really great cards. The 6 of Wands is like coming home after a big victory and celebrating that victory. And the Chariot is about something really hitting itself off and going fast in your life to achieve things. And what's interesting here is you have one on one end that is like you celebrating, and then the other hand we have you in reversed here. And so the message that's coming through from your shadow side is that you could be really successful, you could be really victorious, you could have everything you want, but you guys spend a lot of time questioning yourselves. And that's interesting because we have is this me here, and you guys really are in this place right now where you might even doubt your worth with this 5 of Cups reversed. Like your emotions might feel like they're in complete disharmony. You might feel like you're restructuring yourselves right now. I'm seeing a lot of restructuring. And something about a divine partnership is also popping up with this 2 of Cups. Maybe some of you have gone through a certain relationship recently or currently where it's making you doubt yourself, or maybe you are on the path to meeting somebody who's actually going to uplift you soon. But this is actually what I'm seeing is that you guys are going to be integrating with your other half. It's kind of interesting. We have this one clear cup here, and I feel like this cup is in shadows. So some of you guys might have been neglecting doing that shadow work, really integrating that part and intertwining those aspects of you, because you might be denying a part of yourself that is a part of that central drive, right? With the Chariot, we have this drive here. This is the drive to succeed. This is the drive to carry things through. And so for some of you guys might not be in that place right now. And so your shadow self is trying to tell you, let's integrate these aspects. Let's address the aspects of ourselves. And what I'm seeing for a lot of you guys, this hurdle between you and victory, because you have 2 victory cards here, okay? And one of them is just on hold right now. The Chariot in reverse is like hitting the brakes on that Chariot. It's like, whoa, let's stop now. So there's something that's trying to come in, and it's interesting as well. We have this here, which is also like the shadow of this right here. This looks like a shadow of this. So your shadow is really coming through, actually, here. And what's happening is that your shadow side is trying to tell you, like, you're almost at like some kind of major breakthrough. There's a major breakthrough here, a major victory that is like basically straddling your world. And there's something that's holding you back internally, emotionally, with this Five of Cups reversed. And this is, I think this really has to do with your confidence and your ability to move over others. That's what I heard. Something about you shifting over others. Maybe you guys are really holding back on something because you feel like you have to be more timid, and your shadow side is saying like, why do you have to be more timid? This is kind of like the part of you that wants to be more brazen. It wants to express itself more boldly. So your shadow self really wants you to be more bold, because there's a sense here that you've been holding yourselves back. Like you guys could really create a big rift in the world, but you guys are holding yourselves back, maybe because you have perceived limitations right now. And it's all about perception. You guys aren't actually limited. There's nothing limiting you. And I think it's interesting you guys chose Is This Me? Because she looks like a queen. She looks like a badass queen in a fantasy. She looks like the queen of like hell or something. She looks like she could be in like a video game or as like a queen, and she's ruling the world. But she looks really awesome. And I feel like this is you, and you're not really sure. I feel like there's like confidence here, right? It feels like your shadow self is trying to imbue confidence in you, because you guys could have so much. When I see the Six of Wands, I get really happy, and the Chariot together, that's like mega millions. Like there's so much going on here. This is a big bang. So Spirit is kind of like asking you as well, like your spirit self is kind of also coming through and saying like, it's time for you guys to integrate, because this is always a divine connection with the Two of Cups, you know? This is always like a divine meeting of two energies. And I feel like this is about you embracing the side of yourself, and your shadow can be anything. Your shadow is your own signature. And I feel like in your case, your shadow is actually the side of yourself that is afraid, like you're afraid to touch it because you feel like it involves you trampling over others, or like showing who you really are, and you're maybe like afraid to do this. Maybe you're afraid to really show that part of yourself because you're worried that people might feel threatened. And it's time for you to start just taking the actions anyway and integrating with who you really are. And that's really what that means, is developing more confidence in not questioning yourself, not questioning your worth just because you feel as though maybe you're going to benefit from it. Because one side of you is actually telling you that you're going to benefit from this, but your shadow is saying like, you'll actually benefit more and have way more victories in life by doing this, by getting that confidence and not caring if people feel like you're, getting over them or walking past them or moving in a different direction in life. Your shadow just doesn't want you to hold yourself back anymore because it's not making you feel good. We have Alchemist. Yeah, you guys have true potential, true power. That's why you have so much victory up in here. The Two of Cups is also talking about like that divine aspect of yourself that is being integrated. So getting to your highest level, right? Rising to your highest level. And at the top, we have this lion here, and the lion is very much a symbol of, pride. And some of you guys are afraid of embracing your pride. And I feel like that's, not to lean into ego, not to, but, you live in this world. Oh, I just saw 11:11. So you guys live in this world, and it's like, you guys have to have a little bit more pride in yourself, but like you can be humble. Just like this guy right here. He's coming home, he's celebrating, and, I'm sure he has pride in himself. And so I see here that this is like about complimenting yourself, giving yourself positive affirmations, positive words, and remembering that you are great. Like, don't forget, don't question yourself anymore. And the Alchemist also says this, transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom. Yeah. So you guys need to transform this idea that you guys have of yourselves, that you guys need to be timid in order to be liked, or You guys need to hold back who you are, because what I'm seeing is that this is actually holding you back and pulling back on the reins of your own victory. Like, don't hold back anymore. We have Destroyer. Yeah. Release what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. Okay. Releasing what's potentially destructive. So it's time for you guys to release what you believe is potentially destructive. If you need to make a move and there are people around you that might not like it, you have to do it, because it's for your highest good, and you can't really do good for anyone else if you're not doing good for yourself. That's a fallacy to think like, oh, if I hold myself back, it's going to make someone else happy. No, they're not really going to be happy anyway if they feel unhappy with you doing what you want, and you're not going to feel happy. It's a double loss, okay? And then we have Purity. Oh, I love that. That's what I was talking about earlier. You guys are like holding on to this idea of purity that may not be beneficial to you. And you guys, the idea that you have to hold on to this thing, this is saying like you can remain pure. This isn't about like, the shadow side isn't about, becoming unpure or losing your innocence here. This is saying like, if you integrate and you start to destroy these beliefs or destroy like, these constructs that are holding you inward and like not allowing you to expand, you're actually going to experience your truest self, your purest version, which is you embracing everything, right? Which is you encompassing everything. You're not limiting yourself anymore. And I feel like in this world, it's like the biggest thing we have to fight against is limiting ourselves by fear. Your shadow side really wants you to conquer this fear that's holding you back, whether it's like your own beliefs, maybe it's about yourself, but there are some internal beliefs that you have right now. And this doesn't mean you have to go down. I feel like I should always preamble this by saying like, you don't have to go down like this long healing journey. Like if you haven't gone on a healing journey, then this is a great time for you to start. But if you've been doing the healing journey and stuff like that, this doesn't mean like hunker down and just go cry about like everything. And you can cry and every once in a while do that, but like this isn't telling you to just stop your life. This is saying start your life. So your shadow side really wants, and your spiritual side really wants you to reach your highest potential, go to your highest level, make that connection, that integration, so that you can actually achieve who you really are, your true essence. The true essence of who you are isn't afraid, it's unafraid, and it's embracing the aspects of yourself, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you love, and taking charge, not holding yourselves back. You have 2 victory cards on here. You guys should be experiencing a victorious, accomplished life. And if you guys don't feel like you're experiencing that, that's because you guys aren't allowing yourselves to be the quote-unquote bad guy. Okay, or taking risks on things, maybe this is in your relationships, or maybe this is how you're dealing with yourself. So don't disappoint yourself anymore. Take some risks that will bring you, if it's in the direction of where you want to go and you feel like there's a volcano that needs to be erupted in order to get that thing going, it's okay. Actually, what I see with this alchemist here too is like your shadow side is also saying like you're gonna have to, there might be a part of you that has to kind of destroy something, because it makes me think of like a science fair where someone would have to make a volcano. So they would like mix baking soda and like vinegar or something like that to cause the explosion of like their paper mache volcano. And I feel like that's what's happening here. It's like you're crafting, there's something that your shadow side wants you to craft so that you can achieve your purest self, so that you can achieve that aspect of yourself that really feels true and real, no longer hiding, okay? So don't deny yourself anymore. Allow yourself to become enmeshed with the true essence of who you are, and that is a beautiful aspect of you. That isn't something that is horrible or awful, and if it makes people feel bad, that's their problem. It's not going to make you feel good. It's not going to make anyone feel good for you to hold yourself back. So that's what I have for you, group number 1. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please be sure to like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, Group 2. Let's begin your reading. So we have the Judgment card, we have the Strength card in reverse, we have Black Flower Fragrance, the Moon, and the Two of Pentacles. So what I'm seeing for you guys is that you guys are being seen. This is a time when you guys are feeling like the world is seeing you for who you really are, but some of you guys may be not accepting a certain lesson from life, and this might be something that has to do with that you guys might be feeling seen in a way that doesn't work for you. Maybe you feel like the universe is there, but it's not on your side. But your shadow wants you to know that the universe is on your side. And if you've been experiencing things that feel like tests or things that feel like delays and stuff like that, this is actually sort of something that's going to up-level you, because we have the Strength card in reverse, which tells me that there is sort of like a lesson here, something that your higher self or your spirit guides have kind of put into place for you to overcome, so that you can have ease in the future, so you can have fast movement in the future, because you guys are being seen, which tells me that you guys are actually experiencing a time in your lives when the universe is actually trying to help you figure something out. I'm seeing that your shadow side wants you to figure something out here. And we have the Moon here, which deals with the unconscious side of ourselves. And I feel like this is your shadow. This is your shadow trying to like interact with you. And I feel like you guys have not been able to sit down and really have a conversation with yourselves, because you've been so stuck thinking about the physical world and physical circumstances. And I totally get that it can be difficult to focus on your mental world and getting everything right when things in your world might feel like they're teetering on the edges, you're spread really thin. I'm seeing that a lot of you guys are really busy, but this can be really hard, especially if you look around and nothing looks like you want it to look. And your shadow is trying to ask you, is it so bad? And that's like a really weird question that came through just now, but this is because your shadow wants you to know that it doesn't want you to suffer in between that period between you getting to where you want. And I know that everyone is in a different situation. So if you're in a situation right now and it feels really bad, I get that it, might be very tough for you, but your shadow side is trying to get you to focus on the good things. This is what I'm seeing. It wants you to dream about things that are good. It wants you to experience more gratitude in your everyday life, because this is really a test of strength here. And right now it's feeling like it's hard for you to overcome because you have so much going on in your life. There might be a lot of things piling up. And so your shadow is trying to get you to realize like it's time to shift your perspective to something that is actually helpful for you. And this is actually going to help you remove those unconscious blockers, quote unquote blockers, because sometimes we have like underlying quiet thoughts that feel like they're holding us back. And so right now, it's like you're having this audience with the universe, and you're kind of like in this interim period where you're just not even able to really speak with it. Sorry, there was a car that just drove by really loudly. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it feels like as though you're in like this audience with the universe, and you feel like you're just not being heard, but you are being heard. And so that's why your shadow side is saying like it's time for you to focus more on the good things in your life and think about the bad things. This is the shadow trying to say like think about the things that are seemingly bad, right? And think about how God or the universe would experience this. Does the universe have judgment on whether things are good or bad? Or does the universe I don't think the universe is going to judge it that way, is what I'm hearing. Like your shadow side is saying like it's time to take away the judgment from the human perspective and implement that God self perspective. So what I'm seeing your shadow self is wanting you to do is to embody a more godlike presence. And this is, if some of you don't believe in like the concept of thinking that you are God, just think of it as like the God within, the God self that's within, right? Like God is within everything, right? Or the universe is in everything. So this is about your interpretation of that. So feel free to take any interpretation you'd like. But I'm just going to speak as it's coming through for me. But God is trying to tell you, or the universe is trying to tell you, that it's time for you to awaken that aspect of yourself that is your God self, okay? And this is about you focusing your awareness and your intention, and also fixing the unconscious mind, or not fixing it, because there's nothing to fix. There's nothing actually wrong with it. Like I said before, like God isn't human. He doesn't think of it, or they don't think of it in the same way you do, things that are, good and bad, because it's in everything. It's in everything. And so everything that you deem bad, the people you don't like, God is within those people and within those things, right? It doesn't matter if the universe creates everything, if God creates everything. That's kind of what's going on here. And so, but you are human. You are a flesh and blood human. You're in this incarnation. You're in this meeting between spirit and physical incarnation. So you do experience things as bad, and it's not your fault that you feel that way. But your shadow is trying to ask you to kind of get down in the dark, right? There are some people out there that are like really like into death, right? And they have no problem with it. And some people think it's so bad and they're so afraid. So it's kind of asking you to adopt like this feeling of like embracing like this kind of darkness in your life and spinning it on its head. And this is actually exactly what happens to certain people. That's why you hear some of the most inspiring success stories of people, right? People that are actors that are super famous and loved, or musicians, or sports players. You hear their stories of struggle, and you hear how they overcame so much and never gave up, because if anything, they were driven. That was that positive fuel for them that drove them. A lot of people that have faced adversity, they either use it as fuel and they're driven by that, and if they had had a normal life, they might not have even, or not normal, but everything's normal, right? But if they had like a life where they weren't facing that adversity, perhaps they wouldn't have achieved anything, right? But then there are some people who face, similar adversities, and they blame the world for everything. So your shadow is asking you to look at the negative situations in your life and think of them as fuel. Flip them on their head, integrate them as an aspect of fuel, right? Like if you don't like something in your life, don't reject it, because what you resist persists. And the idea of the shadow self in and of itself comes from Carl Jung, right? And one of the things he said is what you resist persists. So you don't want to resist it. And what this means is don't pretend it's not there. Don't pretend the situations that are unfavorable in your life aren't there. This is saying, remember that you have this ability to focus on what you do want, and the things that you don't like in your life, you don't have to ignore them. You can just say, like, you know what, I'm going to learn the lesson from this. I'm going to turn this on its head. I'm going to be grateful anyway for what I do have, and I'm going to focus my attention more on that. So because you're not resisting it, because you're embracing this aspect of your life, the kind of like the projection of your unconscious mind here that you haven't really enjoyed, the chaos. There's a lot of chaos going on maybe in your physical world. So you're trying to shift your attention by taking away that power. You're essentially making the beast beautiful. There's even a book, there's a phrase, I think it's a Japanese phrase, making the beast beautiful, but there's actually a book I got an advanced reader copy once of, and it has like an octopus on it. Maybe you guys can look into that. But I don't think it's actually related now that I think of it, but the phrase in and of itself is actually really good. Like if you deal with like an addiction, if you deal with like a lot of problems in your life, and everyone has their share of problems, sometimes the best way to solve a problem, like if you're having trouble stopping a certain compulsion, is to make that beast beautiful, is to look at it and not judge it, right? Look at it as maybe like a God would look at it, as you imagine like a God would look at it and say, okay, like, you know what? This is a creation. This is all part of the universe. It's fine. I remember I heard this story about someone who was addicted to like pasta. Like she would try to like, she was trying to eat healthier or something, but she loved pasta, and it would make her sick, like, because her stomach would like hurt after she ate pasta. And she was saying that when she ate the pasta, like she just couldn't stop, like, because it was just, and she really wanted to stop. And one day she just decided, like, I've been doing this for months. I've been trying to change my lifestyle for so long now, and for some reason I just find myself every night eating pasta, And so she decided, you know what? I'm just going to eat pasta. I'm going to eat it anyway. So why would I judge myself sitting here? Like, why would I sit here for hours and then judge myself the entire time? If I'm going to do it, I'm not going to double down. It's already bad that I'm eating the pasta, which hurts my stomach. I'm not going to make myself, that's one bad. Why add another bad by making myself feel bad as well? And she found that over time, she no longer felt that compulsion to eat the pasta because she was allowed to eat the pasta. And that's one way I suggest you approach a lot of things in life that you feel compelled to do that you might deem bad habits. And your shadow side is trying to kind of push you in this direction of like, stop judging these bad habits and judge them or stop judging them in like the human perspective, judge them in like a higher perspective, in the sense that you give love to everything. Because when you make a bad judgment, you're essentially placing fear on that thing and then giving it power. So you want to make the beast beautiful by releasing it of its power, by just giving it like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, if I feel drawn to do this, it's fine, and yes, over time, she didn't want to eat that pasta anymore because she gave herself permission to do it without judgment. And so the judgment made her like compelled to do it. And I think they say that happens with a lot of fetishes too. Like sometimes a fetish forms because people think, oh, it's so dirty, or like it's so bad, And I feel like that happens with a lot of things in life. And if you move through life and everyone has their habits, right? You're stuck in your habits. Oh my God. Someone's driving by really loudly. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but anyway. If someone is judging themselves, you're already in a routine. You're stuck in a routine. That's what people do. They have routines. That's what the human experience is about. Like there's a law of rhythm. We get stuck in a routine, and we have to change our routines and our habits and all of this. But if you're already stuck in a habit, there's nothing you can do there. There's no reason for you to judge yourself. That's what your shadow side is trying to say. There's no reason for you to judge yourself here in the eyes of like a human, right? Take the edge off, ease up on yourself, and you're going to get through this. With the strength card reverse, you're going to get through this. This is just a test of strength, right? So, and the strength can also be restraint, right? Just like she's restraining this lion with peace, restraint with peace, right? So what does that mean? It means taking that edge off and like not judging yourself so harshly, allowing yourself to have peace in your heart. And not, if you're mean to yourself because you do something that you've been wanting to stop doing, that's actually not going to help you. So learning that lesson of how to peacefully handle a situation and overcome it with strength and peace, right? With love rather than conflict within your heart. So we have realization. Yes, a major realization for you guys. Major realization. We have child nature. Yeah. Friendship with animals, communicating with nature. Okay, communication with nature. And we have prostitute. Accentuates the challenges of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. Oh, I should even read the shadow attribute. I didn't do that for pile 1, but I totally forgot. So we have the shadow attribute. Places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. Yeah. So you guys might be in a habit of placing those things above everything else. Instead of moving with love, you're moving with fear of being like materially successful. And we have the shadow attribute, tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. So I'm not going to assume that you guys are abusing anyone, but I'm seeing maybe this could be yourself that you guys are abusing, or this could be when you're not in your highest level, it just comes out as you being really sad and like your energy kind of just not emitting the highest vibration it could. And so for some of you guys, that might be an experience you're having, but I'm also just sensing that it's time to embrace the childlike nature within and embrace those parts of yourself that just don't negotiate with, you know, the terrorists or whatever. Like, don't negotiate with the fears you have. Embrace what you truly are. And again, don't fight yourself. A child doesn't have to fight against these compulsions, right? Like children don't have compulsions. Have you noticed that? They're given, oftentimes we're given compulsions. Like let's say maybe with that girl with pasta, and you know, she was trying to do some kind of journey, right? Maybe her parents, like, who knows? Like, but I'm just using an example. I'm just imagining. Maybe her parents told her like she shouldn't eat so much pasta, right? Maybe that happened, something like that. And that's not to go and blame your parents. That's not what this is asking you to do. This isn't asking you to put any blame on anyone else. It's not going to help you. Blaming anyone's not going to help you. But this is about realizing like there might have been an aspect in your life where you guys were put in a position and a little thing gave you this bigger thing. And so going back to the childlike nature where you're kind of just reset and you're just free and you're not worried about those things can be really helpful. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing for you guys. I hope this was helpful. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, group 3. Let's begin your reading. So what I'm seeing from your shadow self is that you guys have been working really, really hard. And I'm seeing that your shadow is trying to address with you why things may not be progressing in a way that you may like, or not exactly as you would like, because we see the 3 of Wands reversed, which is kind of showing me like you're kind of stifled a bit in your tracks on where you're going. And I heard positive decision making. Maybe that's something you're vexed about. You're like, is this the best decision? Maybe you guys are trying to figure out what the best decision is, be the most practical you can be. But I'm seeing that with the 10 of Wands, your pursuit is a pursuit of passion. We have the 10 of Wands here. This pursuit is a pursuit of passion. And so this isn't about knowing the exact direction. Your shadow side kind of wants you to be more wild, because we have gilded regret here. Oops, it just fell. We have gilded regret here, which tells me that your shadow side does not want you to live in regret. It doesn't want you to look back on your life and regret not having traveled, not having done things that you like. And some of you guys might be just really in your heads. You might be ruminating a lot, overthinking too much, and you want to get out of that. And one of the ways that your shadow side is saying that you can get out of this is to stop focusing so much on yourselves and focusing on your external community, because we have the 6 of Pentacles, which is all about giving back and maybe volunteering, giving to charity. And they also have the 3 of Cups, which deals with like socializing, having a harmonious friend group. And so Spirit is telling you, or your shadow side is telling you, that it's time for you to involve yourselves with things that don't involve you as much, because your shadow side can see that you oftentimes get sidetracked. Even though you're working really hard, you get sidetracked by overthinking what's meant to be led with passion and love. So you guys are already probably very logical, left-brained thinkers. You guys might be, I'm seeing creative thinkers as well, because we have the 10 of Wands here. So you've made some major moves in a creative passion of yours. But what I'm seeing is that you guys might have an aspect of yourselves that is trying to be practical, that is trying to make things work. And that's interesting because we don't even have any swords here, but the energy is coming through a little bit more. And I think it's because you guys might have been, there's some kind of distrust that you have that your shadow side wants you to deal with. It wants you to deal with that maybe mistrust that's going on. And it wants you to trust yourself. And the way that you do this is by, I guess, slowing down those thoughts. I'm hearing that your shadow side really wants you to slow down those thoughts and a great way to do that is to just think about others right now. This isn't saying that you're self-centered. It's just saying like the Three of Cups, the Six of Pentacles is all about what is outside of you. What are the connections outside of you? Who's outside of you that you can be looking to? Because the Six of Wands could be like you giving back to people, and the Three of Cups could be you socializing a little bit more, talking to people, helping people around you that, you know, are deserving of that help. I feel like your shadow side is trying to say that if you feel like you're just not happy, because the Ten of Wands can be like, it's a completion cycle. It's a completion of something major, or something that's, you know, important to you on this current journey. But what I'm seeing with this is that you might not be exactly the most satisfied. And so your shadow side is saying like satisfaction can actually come from outside of you, because I know we have like this idea nowadays that like self-care above all else, like, you know, focus on yourself. And sometimes I say that message, just depends on the person. But I feel like with you guys, there's this message coming through that sometimes when you're having like these crazy thoughts or moods, the best thing to do is either work on what's, you know, what creative passions you have, and don't think about where it's going to go. Just think about doing it for the sake of doing it. Don't think about if it's going to get like 1 million likes on Instagram. You know, you spent hours on it, so you're hoping that it gets like 1 million likes on Instagram or something. And like stuff like that. Don't focus on the outcomes anymore. Just don't think about the outcomes. You get too distracted by the outcomes. And that's like your shadow side saying like there might be an aspect of you that's craving the attention that you truly deserve. Like this is attention you truly deserve, and your shadow side knows this. And it's a part of you that kind of gets captivated by the idea of, you know, getting the attention that you think you deserve and you know you deserve really. But your shadow is also saying like, don't let this hold you back. Don't think about that anymore. Think about the people that actually do pay attention. This is about focusing on the people that really do pay attention to you rather than thinking about who doesn't. We have this negativity bias where we focus on, like, let's say someone gets like 1,000 reviews on their product, and one person gives a bad review, and then they give all their attention to that and they think about it all day, and then they just kind of push away all the positive things. And so you're kind of being asked to direct your focus on the good aspects in your life right now from the work you're doing, because I'm seeing that you guys are really hardworking, and you just might not be feeling satisfied with the attention you're getting, or not sure what the direction you're going is in. And you're going to experience so much more growth by focusing on the community that's currently surrounding you right now. Something else came through. What was the message? Well, let's see if it pops up again. We have bully. Highlights your tendency to intimidate others. Helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. Conceal deep fears behind verbal and physical abuse. Okay, actually the message came back. Oh God, did it just leave again? Oh my God. Oh, I know. I remember now. So I was also going to say about giving back. Sometimes we think, like I was talking about self-care earlier, and how we think self-care is like the number one way to go. Let's focus on ourselves. Let's buy ourselves something. Let's do something for ourselves and do something nice for ourselves. That's wonderful. That's great. People should do that. But sometimes there's an aspect missing, that it actually might be more fulfilling to you to do something for others as well. Sometimes we think that it's all about like focusing on making ourselves feel as great as possible. And a lot of people don't understand why they still feel kind of empty, why they still feel kind of depressed, even though they've taken their baths, they've given themselves a manicure, they've done all this and that. Why don't they feel fulfilled? Sometimes it's fulfilling to do things for others, to get people gifts, or maybe when you do that painting that you're going to post on Instagram, you're not actually doing it for, Instagram and growing your following. You're doing it so that you can paint it for someone else, right? Like someone that you care about. And that's all that matters. So it's about like giving back. Your shadow side wants you to focus more on giving back and not really kind of like leaning as much into your thoughts. Your thoughts are kind of too captivating for you in like a way that doesn't feel good anymore. It doesn't feel really great when you're doing that. Yeah. helps you confront the inner fears that bully you. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you feel stifled because you've completed so much on your journey. You've done so much hard work, and with the Three of Wands, you still feel stifled. You're like, why am I still here, maybe? And just focus on, if you have a little community, focus on them. Focus on, like, you know, forming those connections with the people that are near you, the people that really love you. I've heard that, like, if you're like a musician, right? Like, you only actually, if you want to like make a living as a musician and be really successful, you only need like 1,000 fans, like 1,000 true fans, they say, right? And it's about quality over quantity, right? That's what your shadow's trying to tell you. Quality over quantity. We have Angel. Helping those in need with no expectation of return. Dude, that's too on point. That's crazy. Exactly. Giving back with no expectation of return. How is this in here? Gosh, that's crazy. I love it when messages just fall like so closely in together like this with the synchronicities. Beautiful. And I love this color. That's just amazing. So, wow. Okay, that's amazing. I'm going to read the shadow attributes too, since this is a shadow reading. And the shadow attributes for this one saying concealed deep fears behind verse. I already said that one. And then for this one, it says acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. Yeah, so you don't want to lean into that aspect of yourself that is, that's what I was just saying, actually. What was I saying? I said something about, yeah, doing something maybe for like, you're trying to get millions of people, but it's like, sorry, I'm like pausing for a second to get like the exact verbiage. I said something about you guys having to focus more on the community and actually developing the relationships, the quality and over the quantity, because if you're just trying to get, it can be very empty. There's a sense of like emptiness here when you feel like you're working really hard and you don't see it panning out the way you wanted. And so you kind of feel, you get like this writer's block feeling, or you don't know what direction to go in, where to progress towards, because instead of feeling great about what the outcomes of your work are, you're probably focusing more on maybe the numbers or what it looks like visually. And this is actually taking you out of it. It's taking you out of the love. And it's also putting you in a mindset that feels kind of lacking as well. But if you're focused on like the community around you, you're going to experience so much more growth because you're experiencing success now. You're not waiting for it. There's no future of success. There's only the success that you're experiencing now, and you're always in the now. And I can't really, I hope this message is coming through, so it must be able to be conveyed, but I don't know if I can really accelerate you guys to the feeling, but maybe you guys have this feeling through this reading and what the shadow is saying, that you can be successful right now. In fact, you already are successful. We have the 10 of Wands. 10 is completion in numerology. This is about completing something in your creative passions. You guys might think that completion means that you have millions of fans or millions of whoever, like millions of dollars, right? Millions of great reviews on Amazon, wherever you're like posting your products. Like, you guys might think success is then, and that's not true at all. That's actually not true at all, because you actually are successful. Your shadow wants you to realize you already are successful. So don't go about your day feeling like you're trying to be successful when you're already successful now. This is kind of like manifestation, but it's actually very much like real life. You are already successful at what you're doing. There is no time, there's no actual fixed date when you are successful, right? And a great example of this is what the Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman said. In his Actors Roundtable, he said that people didn't know who he was before Black Panther. And people thought, like, how is it, people in interviews would ask him, like, oh, like, how is it, being, like, now that you're so successful? And he's like, people don't realize like I was already a successful actor. Like I was a successful, like not like successful, like, oh yeah, I have minor successes. He felt like a successful actor, not because he was trying to embody that feeling, like as in manifestation. He actually was that feeling. He actually was that physically. He said that, you know, I was making so many films. Maybe I wasn't like a household name, but I was making money. I was making a living. I didn't have to work on any other jobs. I was working as a full-time actor. I was doing my job that I love, and I was getting paid good money. Like I was living a successful life of making enough money for everything I want and need. You know, like the Black Panther brought me the fame, but I was already successful, right? And you will get there. If you want like to be widely recognized, you will get there. But focus on what's around you, right? Helping those in need. And so if you feel as though you're too distracted, like maybe you're making that painting that you want to post on Instagram, post it for someone that's close to you. Like make it for someone that's close to you, rather. Like make something that is for your community. Like maybe paint a mural in your hometown, like going to a town hall meeting or like talking to someone and saying like, hey, can I paint this for my hometown? Like, you know, I got like a chilled feeling, but like a really good chills, like embodying that angelic energy. It's interesting that your shadow is saying this, but yeah, embodying that energy of just wanting to, because you don't want to look back with regrets, because this mindset of like focusing constantly on like, oh, when will it happen? When will that thing finally blow up? That's not success at all. You might lose a lot of time, and you don't want to regret that. You don't want to lose a lot of time looking back and saying, oh, like, man, I wish if I had known that like I could have just enjoyed my life and not like thought about all this stuff. If I had just known that I could just, you know, be free and have fun and enjoy my life, like everything would be fine. And then the people that you would touch, instead of like focusing, like, so again, and don't focus as much on yourself anymore. Focus on who you're uplifting, the people that actually really like your art. Like if it's just one person, like they will radiate that joy. If they truly love it, like they will radiate that joy and that, and just appreciate that, right? If you write a poem and you read it for somebody and they really love that poem, like it doesn't matter. And I know that's what I was saying. Like, I don't know if sometimes it's hard to feel these kinds of messages, but this is what this is saying. Just like Chadwick was saying, like, you know, like there is the feeling of being successful already. You don't need to have, there is only a present moment that exists. The future in your mind is only a delusion, or not delusion. It's like an illusion, really. You might manifest something using your imagination and then have a very similar experience, but ultimately you think about tons of things that never occur in the future, right? And your past, there's only a fixed present you. You will never be in the future. So stop waiting for the future, okay? Yeah, so it's time to embrace the beauty of this world. Really embracing the beauty of this world in the present moment. Going into nature is another thing too. Going into nature will help you be present. And the thing is, you have to, if you don't feel like it's easy for you to be present, you got to fight to be present. That's the challenge, you know, that's the real thing to work on. And yeah, that's the message coming through for you. I hope that was helpful. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye. Hi, group 4. Let's begin your reading. So, messages coming from your shadow self right away. We have the 2 of Swords here in reverse, which is telling me that you guys might have been feeling very indecisive lately. And then we have it next to the Ace of Wands. So I definitely see you guys holding back on some passionate inspirations that have come through. Oh, message came through really right away. The shadow self is saying, like, when you have these thoughts that pop into your head, like creative thoughts, like when you think, oh, like it would be really nice to write that thing, like to write that scene, like you imagine a scene. And I feel like everyone could get this message, because I feel like so many people don't act on that wave of inspiration. And there's this video from Teal Swan. I don't know what it's called, but you guys can try to look it up. I think she talks about inspiration. I remember watching this years ago, so I'm afraid I don't remember the video. And she was saying something about how when you have a spark of inspiration or a thought that comes into your head, like let's say you have a scene in a book, or let's say you have this idea to make this banner for your website. If you don't act on that inspiration, like the second it hits, it will literally leave in like 5 seconds. It can literally leave. That inspiration feeling is very, very brief. So when you first get that spark, you're like, oh yeah, and you're excited about it. Now, if you immediately beeline to your computer or wherever your workstation is, whatever you're doing, you will feel completely driven in that moment by that feeling of inspiration. You'll just get it all out. But if you wait and you're like, okay, I'll do it later. Like you're like, okay, I'm busy right now, I'll do it this afternoon. Then you will find yourself forgetting to do it. You will find that the inspiration feeling is gone. You might have psyched yourself out by then. And this is the message coming through from this part of your shadow side. It's telling you, like, why are you not acting on these inspirations? Why the indecision? When you waver, you're just causing delay. You're just causing delay. And I see that there's a craft that you've been working on, and we have the 7 of Pentacles in reverse, and it's like you're wondering why things aren't working out as well as you want, why these plants aren't growing perfectly, why the leaves are a little bit yellow. And it's because it's you not acting immediately on inspiration. This is your shadow side's biggest message for you, to act on the inspiration when it strikes. We have Queen of My World here. This is showing me that your shadow side is the part of you that's like actually really, it really thinks highly of you. That's weird that that's coming through, but that's what it's saying. It thinks highly of you, and it's the side of you that like urges you to go on and dream. It allows you to have like these fantasies that you might be afraid to express, is what I'm hearing. And so this is why it's trying to communicate this message to you, to not delay so much, not to, like, you're working on developing something, and sometimes for some of you guys might experience stops and starts, and that's not the flow of life. The flow of life is not stops and starts. Doesn't mean you can't take a break, because that's still the flow of life. It's like when you feel like you're trying to do something and the flow's not there. Like you're just not in that flow state. You're not in that that zone state. I saw a TED Talk once. I think it was with Shonda Rhimes. She's that one that does like Grey's Anatomy, but she's like a major producer, writer person, right? And I saw like a TED Talk that she did, and she was talking about workaholism. I mean, I don't know if it's the best TED Talk in the world, but it might be helpful to you guys. She was saying something about, what was she saying? She was saying something about this hum. I think she called it the hum. Was it the Zoom or the hum? I think she called it the hum. And she was talking about like this wavelength that she would be on, basically. I watched this so long ago, so I don't remember exactly the phrase she was saying, but she was basically saying something about how when she gets to work, she gets into this zone place, like this zone. And when she's in this zone, everything just flows out and outpours. And that's why she loves work so much. It's like she's in this hum, right? And so she just gets into this flow where everything just starts pouring out. And it makes me think of this writer. There's actually a lot of writers that have quotes like this. There was like this writer, I can't remember his name, but he would say like, you know, inspiration hits me every day. It hits me every day at 9:00. And I mean, I don't like the idea of like, you know, putting like the idea out there that you need to have a ritual if that doesn't work for you. But It's the idea of following the natural rhythms and cycles. And so if you're not finding yourself following a natural rhythm and cycle where you're acting on inspiration regularly, then you're not going to have that habit of acting on inspiration regularly. But here's the thing. Here's like the double-edged sword of your shadow side. You might be you might be trying to go to sleep, and then suddenly the ideas come. And, in order to get over this little hump, you might have to experience like maybe some levels of discomfort or something like that, And so maybe you'll be like finding yourself like a really great idea comes, and it's like, it's 11 o'clock, you were about to go to bed early, you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to act on this now, but just act on it anyway, because you want to get, you're better off there, because you're going to feel a lot happier, and it's going to be flow. It's going to be easy to do it at that time, and it's going to feel good, right? To act on those inspirations. So we have gossip, awakens consideration for the feelings of others, honoring trust, and the shadow attributes. Thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. Okay, so this isn't trying to admonish you for being a gossip or anything like this, but this is a message from your shadow, like a secondary message that is pertaining to how you deal with people, how you perceive people. So your shadow side is saying, like, when you're having those thoughts, like you're, I don't know, on social media or like interacting with people in your life, and you have negative thoughts about those people, try not to do that. In fact, I saw this brilliant TikTok the other day where this girl was saying, it was really nice. She's a really sweet person and a really great aspect. She was saying something like, when you think negative thoughts about people, or when you talk bad about people, it's not good, and you should stop doing that, because it puts you in a place where you start to think of people in the way that you're behaving in that way. And so when you do this, like, sometimes you might not be like a cruel person. You might just like say like a random thing here and there, like, hey, like, or like something like that. But it puts you in a place where you start to think that other people are doing that as well, that other people are doing that to you. And so when you put good vibes out for people, you're in a place where you constantly are thinking like, oh, like, people behave like me. We always think that people are doing what we're doing, essentially. So we have liberator, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns. Yeah. Imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Yeah, so your shadow is trying to get you to understand, like, it's okay, like, you're human. This is like, people do this. People, they talk about others. This can be little things, big things. It's just like, your shadow is trying to say, like, understand that place that it comes from. Understand why you're doing it. Maybe ask yourself some questions. Like, if you say something maybe a little judgy, ask yourself why you did it. Instead of judging why you did it, ask yourself why you did it. And maybe something will surprise you. Maybe you'll understand, like, oh, like, actually I saw myself in that person, and I don't like that aspect of myself. Sometimes thinking about why you say certain things about people, why you don't like certain people, is very revealing about you. It's actually always, people are always reflecting back at you what you are. And so if there's something you don't like about a person, oftentimes it's things you don't like about yourself, and you'll find this if you're just really like going deep and talking to your shadow side, like, okay. And yeah, liberating yourself and others from outmoded beliefs. Yeah, this is when you do this, when you actually confront honestly and say, like, gosh, well, man, I didn't like that person was doing this because I do this, right? If you do that kind of stuff, it will help you, because you're elevating yourself to being the queen of your world, to raising to your highest level, right? Being the center of attention without needing to bring other people down, right? And so it's going to elevate you, because you're no longer going to do that, because you're addressing it. See, people that refuse to address their shadow sides, they continue to act as their shadow while pretending they're not, right? And so if you address this, maybe you'll feel like you don't need to feel bad about yourself or like doing anything. And I'm not saying you're even doing this, but if there's something else like this that you're trying to confront, the sooner you confront it, the sooner you live a life of being your highest self, the queen of your world, and are no longer committing to habits that, you know, make you feel like you're not living your highest version, okay, and bringing other people up. You want to be feeling like you're bringing other people up, whatever situation that may be. Oh, and lastly, we have power, of course. Yeah, you want to get into your highest power because you have a lot of power. Everyone has like an extraordinary amount of power, and I feel like your power is best used towards uplifting yourself and others. The more good you see in others, the more good other people see in you. And we have this Queen of My World card and this Power card, and she has a crown. And we have the full moon here. So you guys have a lot of power here. Your shadow side wants you to know you have so much power here. So start acting on the inspiration. Start acting on that fire. And in fact, we have this Ace of Wands with, you know, this, which is the fire sign, and we have her carrying this fire here. So you guys are carrying this fire, so act on this inspiration. That is your greatest power. That is going to be a mega booster. When you start getting into the habit of like you have a thought, you're like, okay, I'm going to act on that now. I'm not going to wait a second. I was doing this other thing, but I'm going to act on it now. Just propel yourself. Give yourself 2 seconds, like the 2-second rule. Like, okay, like 1, 2, and I'm getting up, right? Start doing that. Start getting into the habit. And maybe you can schedule, like that author said, like maybe you can schedule it, your inspiration, for every day at 9 o'clock, right? So start acting on your inspiration, start acting on that power, and focusing on seeing the best in others, working on everything you've got going, and don't wait around, just do things, okay? That's what I'm seeing for you guys, group number 4. I hope you enjoyed this reading, and if you did, please be sure to like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.